Welcome back, Zoo Crew. It's been 21 days, 3 weeks since the biggest change in my life took place, and what a journey it's been. Really, I guess none of this would have been possible without, first of all, having a little bit of faith. So today we're going to talk about the role religion has played in my life, and before we can actually get into, well, yeah, I guess let's start at the beginning. So, for those of you who haven't figured it out by now, I am Pakistani by ethnicity, which means I was born Muslim, right? And the thing is, when you're born Muslim, it's a good thing, obviously, but depending on where you were born, you get a different version of the religion, right? So there's a lot of cultural things that kind of get misconstrued into the religion. So growing up, it was a different version of the religion, right? It wasn't the authentic version of the religion that we were taught. And really, we weren't even taught, we were just kind of force fed. So, literally, like in my youth, and this is the thing that applies to like all of my cousins and siblings and stuff, we were like forced to have religious class literally all Friday night after school, pretty much all day and afternoon, Saturday, same thing on Sunday, right? So our entire weekends got spent doing that. Same thing like whenever we were at like family get-togethers, like my grandmother's and my dad's mom would get us to like pray, but then like force us to pray all of the extra prayers as well, right? So now let's say it's a weekend, our whole day pretty much got spent in like prayers and like making duas. And like, look, don't get me wrong, like I know she had good intentions, and like I'm grateful that like I was like taught how to pray and whatnot, but it would have been nice to be taught like the real religion, right? And like the reasons behind why these certain rules exist in the religion, right? Like what's the importance of prayer, why you should pray. It's like if you just tell somebody and like try and force them to pray, like they're gonna resent you for it first of all, and like they're not gonna get any benefit from it, and they're not gonna see the value in it, right? Same thing with like reading the Quran, etc., and like the other rules that the religion has, you know. And religion in itself is essentially like a guidebook, you could say, for how you should live a life if you want to have the quote unquote good life, right? So yeah, throughout my like childhood, because I was like so forced into this, and it wasn't something like I understood or like chose. It was something I had constantly run from, right? And then when I was in boarding school, like I had freedom, right? So to make my own choices. And at that point, I'd like pretty much had become atheist. And then same thing like in university and like post university, like I was never really like looking for reasons to like accept their religion or like be a part of the religion, right? To the point where like I would debate people and like from the point of like science to like disprove whatever they were saying or like thinking. And like yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about, you know? But yeah, so I mean, fast forward to Winnipeg and my life imploding, full nervous breakdown, severe depression, etc., right? And then I came back to Ottawa, and then I was like slowly trying to like get into like a routine, right? And then so this is like the crazy part about this, and like what kind of initially brought me back to the religion. So I was like heading out, I was gonna head to the gym, and it just so happened that my younger brother was at home. Normally he's like not at home because while he was in university, he was out of town. And like same thing now for like his law career, like he doesn't live in the city, right? So yeah, he just happened to be here. And then so my mom was like, "Oh, if you're going out," because I was heading to the gym, she was like, "Well, do you want to just take him for Friday prayers?" So I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, I don't mind. Like I'll drop him off." So now as I'm like driving to the masjid, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, well, like if I'm going already, I might as well just go in. So then I go inside. And Friday prayers, there's a khutbah, so like a sermon or like a lecture before the actual prayer, right? And now this guy's talking and he's like explaining like how sometimes we'll look at something in life and we'll think it's a blessing, but really it's a curse. And then sometimes we'll feel like we have like this curse, but really it's a blessing, right? And there was a few other things he was discussing, but really it felt like, damn, like this guy's talking literally to me. Like he's talking about everything that I just went through, like with my life imploding, me feeling like I had reached the peak, and then like everything be like falling out from underneath me, you know? And then like the more I'm listening, I'm like, damn, like this guy's voice and like is very familiar, you know? Like something about this is just like very familiar. And then sure enough, like the more attention I paid, I was like, oh damn, like this is somebody I used to be friends with and somebody I completely forgot existed, right? So like when I was in elementary school and like where I was going for Tarawih prayers and stuff, like this is somebody I met at the mosque and like became good friends with to the point where like I invited to my house for like a Ramadan like iftar party, you know? And like super solid dude. And it's just that I completely forgot this dude existed. So now it's like I wasn't even planning to go to the masjid, you know? So it just so happened that my brother was there. And then it just so happened that like as I'm driving, I'm like, okay, I'll go inside. And then again, it just so happened that like the sermon is relevant to my life. And then again, the guy giving the sermon is somebody that like I know and somebody I forgot that completely existed, right? So this is what I mean. Like God works in mysterious ways. So then I'm like, okay, like this feels like I was like brought here like by God, you know? And who knows if that's the case or not, but that's what it felt to me. And yeah, so I started to like get more like learn more about the religion, and then I started learning about like the golden age of Islam and how so much of our modern world came because of these like Muslims who were like leaders in art, philosophy, history, science, engineering, etc., you know? And like it's a whole new Islam that I didn't even know existed because the one I was taught was like the Pakistani version mixed with like all of the cultural stuff, right? um and like things being told like, oh yeah, this is haram, or like made up like hadiths and stuff, and it's like this is not even accurate or true, you know, but it was like a form of control, I guess, in a way, you know. And then yeah, so I was trying to like maintain that in my life, and like things were going good, alhamdulillah, you know. And then I kind of just stopped maintaining my religion, and that's when I noticed like my discipline left, my whole life started to unravel, and like I stopped like maintaining my standards and boundaries, right? And it's like I was doing all the things that I had like said I wasn't gonna do, and yeah, you know. And then again, like my life fell apart, and then I met with a few friends, and like we were chatting, and like so one of them, like he's a very successful guy. He's pretty much like a cousin. Like our grandparents were siblings, right? And then the first thing he asked me, because I was like, yeah, I'm trying to like get my health back in check, like eating clean, going to the gym. And the first thing he asked me was like, what about prayers? And then I was like, yeah, like I haven't been praying, but like I'm gonna slowly start like adding Islam back to my life, right? And he was like, yo, that should be like the first thing you do. And like I was like, all right, cool, like. And in my head, I was like, oh, this guy's just saying this, you know, like he doesn't get it. Like I have to get my health and mental health in order first, and then I can worry about like adding Islam back in, you know. Crazy. So so stupid of me. And then again, like another person that I know, he was like, look, like that's your line, right? So like you don't want to like cross that line. So just like maintain your prayers and like pray every single one. Force yourself to pray on time every single prayer every single day, you know? And then I was like, yeah, I mean, you know, and like coming up with excuses and like not wanting to like accept it. And then I thought back to like this thing that the imam had told me, like the guy who was giving the sermon on that one Friday prayer, and he was like, look, like you don't have to just like commit to doing all five, and like the way the religion is, it doesn't matter if you're sinning or like you're just making one prayer. Like the main thing is get solid on just the one prayer first, then add another one, then add another one, you know. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So in all of this like turmoil that was going on in my life, I started to pray again. Slowly I started to notice, okay, now things are changing. Things are going in a positive direction, you know? And then when I actually like had my own place, I started praying every single one on time, or at least trying to pray every single one on time. But in the last 21 days, I have not like there's been 1 or 2 days where I didn't pray or like I missed a few prayers, but for the most part, I've made every single prayer, right? And sure enough, like I'm seeing the direction of my life completely change, right? 180. and everything else is kind of falling into place, right? So, point being, like, you need to have religion because that should be the first pillar, right? And I guess like a cool thing that I heard the other day that kind of made this click for me was like, let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And you call them and they automatically like missed call, send it to voicemail. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you're gonna feel a bit disrespected, right? Or like you're gonna feel some type of way. So it's the same thing. Like, if you believe in God, like when it's time to pray or like the azan goes off, that's the call to prayer, right? So that's like God calling you, and what are you doing by not praying on time? Boom, sending it straight to voicemail. So you think you're gonna have a good life? You think God's gonna help you when you're literally disrespecting him and like sending the phone call to voicemail right away? You know? So that clicked for me, and like this guy was saying, it's like, look, like your job and like all these other things, like none of these people care, right? So it's like, sure, you may have a job today, you might not have a job tomorrow. So it's like you're gonna sacrifice your prayers for this job or for like this boss who doesn't give two shits about you, right? Like everybody has it all backwards. And like even when I look in my own life and like I can find examples of people who when it's time to pray, they drop everything and pray, right? Doesn't matter where they are, what they're doing. They make it a priority. And sure enough, those are some of the most successful people in life. Those are some of the people that I know with the best relationships. Like they're healthy, they're fit, spiritually, mentally, physically, like everything is like perfect for them, you know? So it's, yeah, I mean, so really that should be like the first priority in your life. And then everything else is secondary, right? The way the world is, like everyone's been brainwashed. There's so much propaganda and like people are getting sent down the wrong paths, right? And like this is something that like I discuss with Mina a bunch because it's like think about it, right? Like people want to make money, but they don't learn how to make money. And then like outside of that, like if you're a woman, like your greatest goal or like desire in life for the most part is to raise a family, right? So now if you're living a life that's not aligned with that, you're gonna have chaos in your life. You're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be anxious because you're not like going towards your highest purpose in life, right? You're trying to like fit into a role that somebody else assigned to you, right? And like all of these people, like they'll go to university, they'll become highly educated, then they'll get a career. And it's like for a guy, they don't care about your career, they don't care about your money. Most men want to be the provider, right? So like this whole system ends up becoming backwards, right? And now the more educated you are and the higher you go up in your career, like the more masculine you become and like you want somebody who's still higher than you, right? Like um yeah, literally like you want to have a guy who's above you, right? Somebody who you can follow, somebody you can respect, somebody you can admire, somebody who will lead you, right? Somebody who will take care of you, provide for you, protect you, etc. So essentially like it gets harder because the guys who are at that level, they don't want somebody who fits into like a masculine role. They want a very feminine woman, right? They want somebody who's gonna like be a home taker or a homemaker, somebody who's gonna like take care of them, be their soft place, raise kids, etc. And then like even outside of that, when you think about it, like because all of these women were like brainwashed into thinking like, yeah, they need to be like successful and have these strong careers, like it becomes harder for the men to get into those roles, right? Because now they're competing with even more people. And then yeah, so and like look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like women who want to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, like you want to have a career, sure. I'm just saying like if you are in a place in life where you feel like your life is kind of in turmoil or like you don't feel fulfilled, look at what you're doing, right? Like what's your purpose in life? What's your main goal in life? And are your goals aligned with your purpose, right? And I think that's kind of like something like learning more about the religion and like implementing the religion has kind of allowed me to like see from this point of view. Especially because like the rights that women have in Islam and the way that like men are told to treat their wives and women in general in Islam, like the world would be a much better place if like people did this. Really, it like if you want to find like a true form of masculinity, this is where you're gonna find it, right? And it's just a matter of like finding the authentic version of it, not like a distorted version or like a cultural version, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, all in all, Alhamdulillah for everything. Um, and if you make one change today, let it be that you get closer to God, you know? Every single time like I pray now and like I ask for something, in terms of anything, it seems to be happening, you know? And it's not even like I'm just praying for myself. Like I got to a point now where like I'm praying for Mina, I'm praying for my older sister, my younger brother, you know, all the like Muslim people in the world who are like suffering. um and like it helps you become more grateful, you know, it makes you more intentional, it makes you more present. So there's so many benefits, and like I don't think my life would be where it is today had I not started like implementing this first, you know. And really it's when it made like religion and like God the priority in my life, everything else secondary, that's when things started to change, right? And it's the same thing, like you have to make it a priority. It's like taking care of yourself, right? You have to make it a priority. Like if you want to have a healthy body, you have to make it a priority to eat clean and like exercise, right? And it's the same thing, right? Like think of it like this. Let's say you have like I give you a Ferrari, and now like you don't clean it, you don't put good gas in it, you don't change the tires, and you just abuse it and abuse it and abuse it. Like I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm never giving this person anything again because like look at how they treated what I gave them, right? Super ungrateful. So it's like this the same thing. Like God gave you this Ferrari, and what are you doing with it? You're abusing it. You're not taking care of it. You're not maintaining it. You're not taking it to its fullest potential, right? And then you end up in a state of depression. You end up in a state of anxiety, right? And it's because first of all, you know internally what you're doing is wrong, and then secondly, it's like God is not going to help you. He's not going to clear the path for you, right? So, yeah, all in all, I guess the key takeaway of today is get religion, you know? And this is even something Stefan used to talk about. Like he literally had shirts that were made that said get religion. Something he talks about in Hard Times Create Strong Men, you know? Like he wasn't Muslim. He might have become Muslim in today's world, you know? And yeah, do good deeds also. Because now that I'm saying this, like it got to a point where like me and Damon, like to honor Stefan's legacy, we built a well in Pakistan under his name and like Black Card University, right? So now anybody who like drinks water from that, like he's gonna get the reward, right? um so yeah, all in all, I think if you like do good and you put good out into the universe and you seek out knowledge, your life will be good, right? And that's another key thing in Islam, is you have to seek out knowledge, right? Become a knowledgeable person, become a leader. Don't be shy to like talk about politics. Don't like avoid getting involved in politics, you know? There's so many different things. And look, like I'm not a sheikh, I'm not a scholar by any means, you know? I'm just some guy. And like I'm still learning and I have a lot more to learn. Um, but the thing is, the more I learn, the more kind of at peace I get. The more I implement it, the more peace I get. And you know, like I guess it's like removed my anxiety and depression, because it's like, what am I worried about? You know, I'm gonna do my best, and then the rest I leave it in God's hands. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. If it's written, it's written. You know, you can't like force destiny to happen, and like that's what they say, like you'll make a plan, but then like God's plan will still be better than your plan, you know? So I didn't plan for any of this. I didn't know this is where I'm going to end up. I didn't know I would ever make a video talking about the role or like impact Islam had on my life, you know? But again, God works in mysterious ways. You end up where you're supposed to be at the end of the day, regardless, right? You might feel like you're on a detour, you might feel like you're behind in life, but you will get to where you need to be at the right time. Just have faith. That's it for today, Zoo Crew. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.